Well, greetings everybody, and welcome to a brand new edition of the show we call the Inworld Review. Inworld is referring to the world of virtual worlds, or more specifically, open simulator worlds that all come together and form something called the Hypergrid. This allows you to jump from grid, world to world, a galaxy of worlds, basically. And we look at the arts and the people and the destinations all over the Hypergrid. Now, my name is Mal Burns. You may well know that. My apologies if we're half an hour late and you're about to watch live. We had a few technical issues, one of which is the fact that the studio here may look the same, but it's actually in a different location. It's in a location on the Open Simulator Community Conference Grid. And in fact, that's what we're here to talk about today. It's not the reason we're in the studio, but it is appropriate. It's the event we're going to be talking about today. On my right-hand side, I have the right-hand man, he who dwells on the knobs and the sits. And he's got a new thing. Oh, yes. And yeah, he's got a new thing. It's called Dean the Twist. Yeah. And now.
Okay.
Yeah. We're going to keep that one secret because you don't know what on earth we're talking about, do you?
Sure, no, I don't. But thanks, Mel. Yeah, and technical difficulties? Never.
Never. So that's what comes of the fact that our normal grid is actually offline temporarily for repairs. is just part of the equation. Anyway, welcome, James. And on my left-hand side, of course, my regular superstar co-host is Tosha Ryran. Welcome, Tosha.
Well, thank you, Mel. You don't know just how happy I am here tonight.
Yes, so it's all finally fixed.
With all the difficulties in the making.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, and we've got two guests tonight, especially from the OSCC. We've got my old pal, Leah Lobo, who's sort of, she's not a member of Avacon, but she seems to do everything under the sun over there, including work out agendas, get the panels organized and things like that. So welcome, Leah.
Hey, thank you, Mal. And I am a volunteer research scientist with Avacon.
Yeah.
I added another hat.
Oh, I see. So, yeah. Well, yeah, you are like me. So we always seem to be on the list over there, but we're never actually on their staff, so to speak, you know. So the independent allies, you know, or something like that. Anyway. And next to Leah, I'll keep getting confused, but despite the beautiful female steampunk avatar, is actually Sun Tzu. So that's easy because I can just say Sun. Sun is actually responsible for things like the music events that are happening there. And between the Sun and Leah, we're going to be showing some film, which also includes the expo regions, which are actually really rather interesting. You know, obviously the real conference is on the stage and it's the speeches. But anyway, so welcome to Sun Tzu. Welcome, Sun.
Hey, thanks, Mal. Yeah, I've been running the music stuff for quite a few years now, and we really have some interesting acts this year, some different styles of music, so it ought to be really a neat thing. Plus, it's going to be my first time actually doing DJ work in over 20 years when I was in the military, so it'll be a nice chance for me to launch into that and maybe even start to do regular steampunk shows.
So
right.
Cool. That's
we
great.
do have... that's not what we want.
Sounds great.
Sorry, where did that come from? Sorry, I got the wrong pictures now. Just have this. Here we are. So that's actually, we'll show you some more slides near the end, actually, of the specific events, but that's the advertising promo for the music events there. And of course, Witch Whisper, we've had on the show here. Somebody called Tasu, I do believe that might be you.
No. This is a different one.
Yep. Oh, it's a different one. Okay, fair.
Yeah.
And just a few weeks ago, we had a wonderful time with Tuna here, Tuna Oddfellow. Acoustic Energy, I know. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I know we had Tuna and Witch Whisper on here anyway. So, right. So looking forward to that. We'll get a little bit more into that at the end because we've got nearly an hour's worth of film, which means we can, while we're talking, you can really get a feel for the expo, the exhibition regions rather than the stage where the speakers are and things like that. So without further ado, I'm going to open up this folder on here. There we are. And I'm going to try and organize them into the right order. I say the right order, meaning the order in which I filmed them. And I think we start here. Yes, I think we do. I may have got this. Oh, yes. This. I started the film here with what is actually the music stage, I believe. Or have I got that? Well, we'll go through it anyway. Basically, there are 5 or 6 expo regions that you can find on the map when you're visiting, and below those on the map there are 2 other regions. One is a I don't know how to describe them, actually. I haven't got the map in front of me, but we'll see them as we go along. And I can see here that we're celebrating Christmas in advance, or at least somebody flying in the sky is. So nothing like a bit of seasonal cheer. So do tell me, have I got this right? Is this the music region?
Yes, that's the OSCC music region.
Right. So you certainly know about this one, so that you're the one to get this.
That's the one I take care of. Yeah.
And balloons. Oh yes, I recognize that lady in the sky there.
Yeah, I added some steampunk elements there. Plus, Tuna Oddfellow is going to do a thing up in the sky as well, doing a rather interesting interactive kind of display.
Yeah. That's the one we saw listed on the poster. Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, Tuna's great. So how long has this region been there? Yeah, if I recall, the music stage itself was built as a region a year or 2 ago now.
This one's been up for quite a while. I joined Avicon about maybe the 2nd or 3rd year into the conference. And within a year or so afterwards, we started doing the music events. So I think we've done at least about 4 or 5 of them minimum.
Right.
Okay. And I can add something to that, Mal. It was actually built for the Federal Consortium of Virtual Worlds in 2015, and it was my metacognition track that I helped manage at the conference. It looks like a Viking ship, and many of the builds had this amazing Star Wars kind of effect too. Yeah.
Oh, no, this is funny. This Korg on top, keyboard on top there. It's not quite the same when I've zoomed in, actually, but it's almost identical to my own lying here beside me. I like the Korg things. Mine hasn't got quite the same display, but it's the same idea. Right. Well, I'm not going to hurry up the film. I can't really. It's got to. I do actually. I tried to get a separate piece of film for all the regions I did, but this first clip, which is about 11 minutes, 9 to go, it actually contains the music island, and I think it's Expo 1 it would be, which, no, Expo 5, the one on the far right. I'm trying to remember now. Who actually did the building of this? Is it the same build that it's been all along, or have you been sort of tweaking it as you go?
I've been tweaking it a bit, but it was built for the conference. Do you remember that guy's name? He's not with Avicon anymore. Trying to remember.
Well, Avicon created the build, but they were commissioned by Doug Maxwell of the Moses Project.
Moses, right? Yeah.
See, we're all connected through virtual worlds.
That's so true.
I found a bit of one of my old films the other day that I was allowed into Moses for 12 hours or something to film Philip Rosedale. I suddenly found a film the other day. So it's a while ago now, probably 10 years or something. One of the, nothing lasts forever, and for all the new wonderful things we have popping up in OpenSim now, suddenly realized that a lot of these older projects just didn't happen. I mean, Moses, of course, was linked to the US military, so it was pretty much locked down. It wasn't really a public visit.
I just found the guy's name. It was built by Kurt Lesseman.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, he was a content developer with Avicon back then.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, even before I came across Hypercon, I mean, they'd been, well, of course, they started as a Second Life community convention and then became an online-only OpenSync convention. And yeah, it'd been going quite a few years before even I was involved. So back in the days of Justin Clark KC, and even Adam was around much more then. So yeah, this is the first of the regions, not the Music Island, but actually called the Expo region. And all these have one thing in common. They're actually 4 simulators, 2x2, I think. And there's a landing area in the middle. So once you land in the middle, you follow the arrows of the quadrant you want. Of course, in my case, it's a roaming camera that was impatiently running around all the quadrants. This was a COVID unit, basically. This is an example of a educational enterprise. It's hard to know, but without being able to zoom in and read all the actual signs, whether this is a project that's got an exhibition here, or whether they actually have a region on OpenSim. Do you know that, Leah? Oh, Leah's vanished or muted.
Well, I wasn't expecting a question on the COVID display, so I'm not sure is the answer.
Right now,
sorry.
Yeah. Now I was just wondering whether they have a region Inworld on one of the simulators somewhere, or whether it's just an exhibition. But worthy anyway.
You mean a region where you can go and catch your COVID?
No, but you can get your shots there.
It wouldn't surprise me if somebody's invented a virtual COVID, which is like something you wear on your mouth or something, and then makes you have
it's called Snow Crash.
Go loopy. Yeah. Well, that's old hat though. Nice gallery here, Eureka World. This one was. You have to realise that this a few days ago I went in here to film, and the conference we're talking about here. The exhibits are open most of the year round, I think, but the conference isn't till next weekend. In fact, we will be there rather than here, if you see what I mean, next weekend. But obviously, some of these exhibits that are pertinent to this year aren't fully finished yet. But we thought we'd bring you the highlights of what's already there, so to speak.
Yes, we're still building and assembling and installing speaker content, etc. But you're right, Mal. These exhibits are up year long, so people can come by. The conference is accessible via the Hypergrid, and it's free to access throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
Which is always good. Yeah, I keep watching these films and get carried away. What's that? He says to himself, but oh Lord, that's dismiss that. Sorry about that. Intruding noises here. Right. Yeah, I'm not that familiar with Eureka World here, but they looks like they're pretty strong on educational regions. 150 schools, 35,000 students. I don't know.
Yeah, they have an amazing program. They spoke at the conference in the past. Yeah,
that's a lot of people, and from the way it's expressed there, I presume it's all in world, classes and schools and things. It's rather than Outworld. Those old friends from Rockcliffe here, the old they have another conference, although that only happens in Cousin Lindenville. Rockcliffe University Consortium. I've forgotten the name of it already. Virtual World's Best Practices in Education, and they do a conference there. And they do have a bit of a region on Avacon's actual grid, as opposed to the conference grid here. The Avacon grid actually has a couple of libraries which are sort of connected with Rockcliffe University.
They've held conferences there in the past too.
Yeah. Oh, really? It always seems to be I'm very familiar because we used to film the one in Second Life, but I never actually found much going on the ones here still.
They had their main keynote speaker in OpenSim one year, and they used TeamSpeak for voice, and that was such an issue because they had the notifications chirping to let us know when anyone logged in and logged out. and we had about 100 of those go off.
Yeah.
So of course, that was pretty wild, but it was a fantastic session.
Yeah, it's very hard to solve that problem sometimes. All it takes is you start and somebody's left microphones or monitors open. I mean, we use Discord for everything, so you still hear a bit sometimes, but normally I've got all the notifications silenced. But
Well,
if you're inside,
actually, that is not so different from a real world conference, because you constantly have people coming in, going out, talking, and well, if it's an international conference, talking in different idioms and all that, so the confusion there, I guess, is not less and not more than a virtual conference.
yeah, and I mean, in modern conferences, I'm quite sure the ping of the cell phone goes off.
It's just irritating.
Seconds,
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't avoid it. I mean, sometimes
it's irritating for the speakers and for the ones that organize it, but the people that come and go, they don't find it irritating that they go or come too late or go too early or whatever. They find it just all right.
Yeah.
Think about it what you want, but that's it.
Yeah. Disruptive audiences, eh? Yeah, I think we sort of get used to it anyway in the real world with people's mobile phones and things like that. So some of these intrusions online are not as obvious as they would have been once, because there's parallels with
and with the mobiles, it's even much more.
Or we just make them buy drinks if their phones go off in the middle of the meeting.
Oh, that's good.
Right.
Or if you get really desperate, you can throw the phone in the drink.
Yeah,
that won't go down too well.
That's the hard way then.
There we are. So that's the end of the first film. As you can see, that's that aerial shot there gives you an idea what all the expo regions are like. There's 5 more to come, but you can see they're divided up into sort of quadrant.
And Lear, correct me if I'm wrong, but the expo regions are parcels given to people who are crowdfunders or sponsors of the conference for the most part, except for Expo.
That's correct.
3.
Yeah.
Here's why the wilder ones, by the way. We like art on this program. Sort of we'll fall over ourselves with Tina Bay or Cherry Manga and things like this. But somebody's been having a go here too. I don't know who it was. Maybe it's advertised.
Yeah, France has been going around France Charming and getting a lot of artwork from different folks that they donate for the conference each year. So it grows from year to year.
I was trying to imagine playing that chess set. How do you play chess on a globe?
With magnets.
Oh, I don't mean the physics of it. I mean the movements themselves. There's no square. There's no edges. Because you get a pawn to the end, and she turns into a queen. But you can't do that on a globe. Yeah.
You have to imagine the edges.
Just to imagine a whole new set of rules, basically. And these globby things, this particular region, but this would be Expo 4, I'm pretty sure, actually, from my memory. I've gone overboard a bit here. Little Tyrannosauruses and horse without legs. Well, no, it's a machine.
Sounds like an America song.
It's like those Bronco machines or something.
I've been in the sim with the horse with no legs.
Yeah. But have you been in the desert on a horse with no name? So my mind is wandering, as it always does. And surfing too. Products for your water. What a weird expression. Products for your water.
That's interesting. Ocean engineering.
Yeah.
I used to work for that company.
Water, I kind of think of syrupy cordials that you mix with real water for a drink. But it's it's a good name, actually. I mean, it brings to mind. So you think, ocean engineering? What's that?
Yeah, I used to work with a company, Oceaneering.
All right.
And that's the music area where I set up. I haven't set up all the new ones for this year. I still got to do that, but that's where I put out so year-round folks can see who is at the performance, and if they want to learn more about them, they can.
Yeah, this is a sort of exhibit about the music area, not the music area itself. Yeah, there's nice guitar there as well.
Expo Region 4.
Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, yeah. Well, I followed the leftwards on the map, so going backwards, so to speak. It's amazing difference what some people have done, and that sounded like a Wildwood Bayou grid here. I mean, they've put the whole shebang in here, really.
Yeah, they're only doing, I think, like about once a month now. They've kind of scaled things back with their grid, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think real life's just gotten busy for a number of them. One of the people lives in Asheville, North Carolina, where all her hurricane hit and everything. So she's just trying to work on survival at this point.
Sure. Yeah. For that stuff. Poor Tosha here in Spain was, well, she wasn't affected by the flood, but very near, and it's just changed the world over there, hasn't it? And I suppose New Orleans too had its time. Keep on playing the blues.
Yeah, we've had Rockin' the Blues on our music showcase for the past few years, and they've actually donated their time, done it for free, which was nice. I'm taking over this year the spot that they normally do to do my DJ set.
Right. Since
they're not available.
I'm a big fan of blues, and actually it's it's nice that I always make reference to, that remote blues club on such and such a region and such a grid, and how we don't know what's on and when because of finding things is often still a bit difficult compared with some closed worlds. But I always use the blues clubs as an example, and I'm quite enheartened by the fact, even from that great Canadian grid, the first open sim I was resident on and stuff. They all have blues clubs. Not that many of them have discos or country music. I mean, they do, but blues clubs just seem to pop up everywhere, and I could be more delighted.
I'll just send you a thing after the show. Joe Bonamassa, the guitarist.
Oh yes, love him.
He's doing a thing now to save the blues.
Does it need saving after all these? Everybody thinks, the blues are dying out, and a decade later, they're more popular than ever. It's the heart and soul of music, the blues, really.
Well, I don't think it's dying out. It's changing, like the rest of the music also, and good it is, because without change, then it would die out.
Yeah, it'd be boring if it wasn't. Love these escalators.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
I took a copy of them, actually. I thought, I don't know where I'm going to put them, but I say they could be useful. I didn't try actually standing on one while I was filming, but so this is Open Sim Fest. It's funny. This exhibition seems to be bigger than the real thing. I was talking with Thursday the other day, and we said, there's definitely bigger than the real thing was. But there you go. Oh, and that's the circuit complete. I recognize where we are with that thing in the sky there. So, so third film starting. Right, this would be Expo Zone 3, I guess. Now, all those little pod things in the background, actually, all the speakers on the stage during the event have a little pod there that they can send people to find out more about their session.
Mm-hmm.
There are some of them, quite a few of them actually have other, builds that are scattered around too, but the pods are like the official thing that everybody who's on stage gets,
I think I've heard of those being called the muffins or the cupcakes. Has anyone else heard
that would work. Sort of empty ice cream cones.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, cupcakes is but muffins aren't quite. Yeah, cupcakes is about right actually. Come to think of it, you have cupcakes. We have them in Britain too. So there you go.
Okay.
I guess you just put the the baking stuff in a cup and then put icing on top, and that's why they're called cupcakes.
Right? It's the origin of the word, for sure.
Yeah, that's why the right shape indeed. Tribal leadership, my golly. Yeah, obviously whizzing around with camera, some of these things didn't res as quick as they might have done. I usually pause between films at a distance, hoping everything will res in 5 minutes, but then I start filming and read, Lobo, I saw her name.
That's my area. It's just a retrospective of some of our work. We have 19 grids of game simulation content and research, and then I've given 370 conference workshops on the topic or presentation.
Only you. How was it? 307.
That's from 2015 when we ran the hackerspace on the Learning Lab, and I had 5 regions of content in OSCC, and there were some amazing things. Like we had several devoted to investigations of disease and malaria. We had others set in a tropical rainforest where you started the simulation by jumping out of a plane, and these were all conducted by researchers at various universities and in virtual worlds, in OpenSim in particular. So all of it was hosted here, and it was fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, I imagine that sounds really
Yeah.
very interesting.
It was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And such quantity too. It just amazes me how you are always busy, multitasking, and it's teaching, marking papers, building regions, simulations here, there, and everywhere. I don't know. I think there's a lot. You'd like to say there's probably multiple versions of you in the world.
Well, it's being blessed with wonderful teams. I work with so many amazing people.
Yes, that does help, of course.
Just imagine if we clone her one day.
That exhibit there we're moving away from, that's actually for OS Grid, which is where our regular studio is, but it's that's a good exhibit. It really displayed, because that is the original vast grid. Some people call it a developer's grid, but it's so many avatars belong with that grid and always have done, kind of thing. It's a shame it's going through a bit of a rebuild at the moment, which is far from easy. With I think there's 18 years of assets or something that they're trying to clean up. That's a nice little habitat, I suppose.
Well, they're doing an amazing job, and they're back online. So that's the amazing thing, is if you've ever tried to groom data while the users are online,
Oh, yeah.
it's not easy. So we're real thankful for Dan Banner and the team, and Melanie for all their work, and UBIT, everyone for pulling together, testing, and helping to get it back online.
There's a musical brain for you. Okay, I don't know what the symbolism, but I know what a brain is, and I know what the musical notes are, but I don't know what the conjunction was meant to be. All right, wobbly camera there. Express your creativity. I must admit, in all the previous years, I never realized. Well, of course, this is just the other day, but I never realized actually there was so much in some of these the original, expo regions. I think, I tend to, like I'm filming here, I'm making a point of going in to, not get on the ground and walk around, but sort of zoom in to see as much as we can. But I think when you're doing things there, like here, you will go to a cupcake. and indeed I am. I went for a walk around. Oh, yes, that's actually quite old. That's one of my panels from way back when. But you come to something like this, you walk around, you stop at a booth, and then go around and stop and look at another booth. And actually, by the time the conference is over, you've probably only seen a very little bit of these areas, unless you stay up all night wandering around.
That's why we leave them open, Mel.
Yeah,
it's just too much to take in, right? And there's so many of the booths that give out content too, so you want to check those out. Yep.
Yes, I must try and do that in the week, actually. When I'm filming, I can't pause the camera to sort of copy this, take this. It's a separate journey for that kind of stuff, really.
Now that's from the Metaverse Libraries there, Val Librarian and the gang, and
Yeah.
all the folks there who really help to connect all the anyone who has a grid can register their grid with them, and it's a database that also helps people find what they need.
Mm.
They
Yeah.
don't really publicize that enough, actually, because on our screens
Uh-huh.
here, you know, I've got things like, obviously Open World, and then there's the other one I can know.
Hypercat?
Yeah, Hypercat. I was trying to read it, but I'm live. I don't want to click on it. You know, but the more sites and databases that can be used to find things on OpenSim, the better, really. Because the Hypergrid, for all its wonderful connections and communities and scale, it's like a wild frontier, and you're never quite sure who's in the next village, let alone on the next planet. And it kind of is helpful to have some kind of mapping for that. But Hypercat is actually incredible. I'm using it more and more because if you're looking for something, like an item, just type in the name of the item and it seems to scan every, an awful lot of different grids to find things. In fact, it's funny, you sent a message, San, in an IM somewhere in the week. So have you got a saxophone? And I immediately thought, well, I'll help out. I'll look up a saxophone. And I only found one on some obscure grid, and I took it, but it was quite free. But then when I got back, it wasn't in my suitcase or anything. It was like I even had to log out of Firestorm to get out of the grid. So it was obviously a faulty visit. Whether the saxophone was usable, I don't know. It looked right, but did you find one in the end from anybody?
Oh, the saxophone, yeah.
Okay.
Stone ended up importing one along with a animation and a pose for it. So it was cool.
I don't think I did.
Yeah, because one of our performers, Sue, he needed a sax.
Oh, right. The one with the same surname.
Yeah, just different spelling. TSU.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. When you come up with names here, contemplative pathways.
Well, that's about fixing things that are broken and making them even better. And that's the kintsugi pottery, where if you broke a teacup or some pottery and then you fixed it with the gold inlay, and anyway, our whole simulation shows you how it actually breaks the pottery and reassembles it with gold inlay. But it's the notion that there are things within ourselves that sometimes feel broken, and we make ourselves stronger, right? By leveraging all of the things we value, our strengths. And this year we're going to, well, I don't mean to get ahead of myself, but we're bridging quite a few media and cultures and languages and you name it. Uh, that one was devoted to Japan, and this year we're doing Native American traditions as well.
Oh.
And Koyaanisqatsi, the life out of balance.
We'll probably look at the agenda later, but it might be worth mentioning that I will be going with, the help of James here, in fact, but with Cesar Ember, and we'll be talking about the Hypergrid International Expo on one of the sessions. And we were talking a few things the other day, because it's a language-based event rather than a geographic event, so languages are really quite a big thing there. But almost certainly we have one exhibit that's Japanese this year, despite the fact that we only have 4 countries, 4 languages, I should say.
Sure.
Especially with arts and music, because it doesn't really matter what language is spoken by the person doing it. Music and art just speaks volumes. It doesn't need to be translated. Wish I could say the same for talks, but it's another matter. Oh, and talking of beep, 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 something is beeping. That's weird. Something. Is that one of us beeping? I think it might have been.
It's
Yeah,
Discord.
it's in the Discord, yeah.
Okay. I thought everything else was muted. Oh, right. And at the end of that film. Right. So we're moving up. 5 films to go, believe it or not.
You know, as you're switching films, that last booth you showed with for Arcadia Asylum, Kayaker and Ada are hosting an event on Monday after the conference, December 9th at 11 o'clock, another tour, and we can play over there on their regions where they've accumulated all of that wonderful content.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the Kraken from that exhibit. I got the flying Kraken, but I can't find the regular one yet.
The other thing, of course, when you pull a lot of things together like here, and this is probably the case with HIEs too, you know, sort of because you're going to have lots of people from all over the world and everywhere sort of exhibiting, you get this weird juxtaposition of images and things. You know, you've got a stand that would be Japanese, and next door is a stand that will be, I don't know, aquatic, and another one that's high tech. And, you know, seeing the juxtaposition of environments, it reiterates just how many different sort of places there are out there. But it can be odd in itself, you know. Oh, God. Where is... Oh, Lord. Oh, it's that's Thursday sending a new blog. Too late, my dear. That was what the bleep was. Naughty Thursday. Of course.
What these last few minutes of the expo have shown me is the importance of the metaverse for education. That seems really such a great thing. You can do so many things, you know, and what it shows all the while is education for adults, for students, or for anybody of grown age. But there are so many possibilities too for education with kids, you know, that with, I don't know, primary school kids, and that's really very good too.
It's something we've, you know, it's a real pleasure if, you know, you've got like a school. I mean, school, not university, you know. And they'll have maybe once a year, they'll have an open day when they open to the Hypergrid, so you can go and see what they've done. Well, but lots of the important things also, you know, they're firewalls. They're not wall guards for the sake of it, but for the sake of the kids, you know.
That's true. If I have, with a little luck, I will find an Italian school teacher one of these days that speaks English well enough to come and explain all they do, because the Italians do a lot of things with school kids on the grids or in the metaverse altogether. You know, they really seem to take a leading role there somehow. I don't know how it came about, but it is so.
I think you know, I think it's just the way things work. But I mean, I know the OSCC itself, for example. I've always, you know, it is what it is, but it always seems to me that there's quite a heavy educational bias. And that's simply the people that have been involved with it and submit to it, you know. And it's not all educational, as you guys know, but it's just one of those, you know. Another conference might be, you know, I don't know, a science fiction bias, for example, you know. It doesn't mean it's not lots of other things, but it does mean that, you know, within the demographic, there's a lot of the talks are about education, be it something practical like building a train set. Sorry about what's, you know, but or it can be, you know, something that isn't really illustrated at all. It's just philosophy or something.
When you mentioned about Italy, I used to live there, and I've followed their work when it comes to the virtual worlds. A lot of that has to do with the Italian government. They've been very interested in the use of virtual worlds. They've done a lot both in the education sector as well as in the military sector. So it's a matter of them making the investments because they see a future for it.
I think that was actually the case. There's a chap, I've forgotten his name already. Thursday mentioned him the other day, but he had a thing called Cyber Lounge, which was sort of built in OpenSim, but it was deployed on the web. And people like to think of Melville always used to hang out there, but I don't know if it's still going. But the chap who did that, he was at one of the conferences a couple of years ago, and he was at HIE too. And what I was fascinating was that aside from the stuff he was talking about, his regions and things that he had, he was in Germany. And apparently he was involved with a project that was actually basically creating virtual worlds for all schools and universities in Germany. I didn't really hear that much more about it, but I think the idea was being a network, of schools would all have virtual equivalents and be networked so they could share resources and things like that. And I gather he'd had some success with it, in terms of the German government. So
the Germans have been very interested too. When I was at U.S. Joint Forces Command, I worked with the Bundeswehr, which is the futures group for Germany.
All right.
Well, but as I know, or as far as I know, in Germany, the things with anything that is internet, virtual worlds, anything like that is very far behind the rest of the world practically. It's really in bad shape, and the schools, they almost have not enough PCs. They have no lines. They are really in bad shape, and I remember the time of COVID, the pandemic, that's now a few years ago, but not so long ago. The kids practically either they did not have PCs or laptops. Some of them had smartphones, but by far not all. And the ones that had smartphones sometimes had to stand on their own desks with their hands high up in the air. If not, they could not receive anything. They had no signals. It's really terrible. And that is in very many places in Germany. And for example, I talk with my friends via smartphone from here. And, one has to say, well, wait a moment, I have to go on the terrace. If not, I don't get a signal. Or the other one has to sit on one chair in her living room. If she moves about, she won't get more signals. And like that, it's really, Germany with that is in really bad shape. And for years now, they're talking about getting a better internet service and everything. But until now, nothing happened. So I guess there is there might be maybe some islands like the Bundeswehr, which is the military, that they have a better conditions. I could imagine, but the normal people and the schools and the doctor services, it's chaotic. It's really chaotic.
In the UK for a long while, British Telecom, BT, where they were a monopoly for many years.
Yeah.
But when they were sold off to shareholders and things, they still had the government monopoly, and you could get services in Westminster, the region, that were way ahead of everything else. Nowhere else in the country had it, because BT, it was the one area BT still had the exclusive rights on, and actually everywhere else they just treated as second-class citizens. And it's all changed now, but it's true. There are areas that every successive government we have says, oh, we've got to do something about the countryside, the rural area and things like that. And, we're going to put so many £1 billion into developing that. And, 10 years later, there's not much change. But it reminds me, I was seeing a picture there of some television sets with the old BBC test card on in one of the exhibits here. But it just reminded me that I remember the day when we had the old cathode ray tube televisions. And if there was a poor signal, some poor sod would actually have to stand up by the television, holding the aerial in the air and tilting it around until we could get the picture. And then, of course, he had to stay frozen there holding the aerial so that people could watch it. Yeah.
But what I think is really strange that is Germany, with its fame to be so developed and so technical and everything so well organized, it is not true at all, you know. And one should imagine that, especially there, the situation would be quite differently. You know, I remember how long time is it now that we have that new government? Well, it's not 4 years even, you know, and the last government said we have to push, and now we will push the internet, and you know, you have areas complete without internet connection, you know. It's really a disaster.
Yeah, well, you can't really. It's a shame, really, because the state of nations at the moment is a real calamity. There's no consistency at all, and of course, social collapse and things due to war and environmental displacement and things. You know, that affects everything too. You can have marvelous technology, and you know, what happens if the island you live on sinks? You know, it's yeah. I suppose there will always be a bit of a disparity there.
So is this Expo 1, Mal?
Oh, yes, sorry, I just changed, didn't I? This would be, yes, it would be, yeah. Expo 2, I didn't point it out, but you might have noticed our studio on that area, which is actually the very studio we're broadcasting from right now. But no, this is now Expo 1. And, oh, yes, actually, maybe... No, this actually was very interesting. It was labeled as the OSCC Surreal Museum. So I'm not sure. Is this actually Expo 1 or is this? No, this is a separate.
Surreals is separate.
Right.
Yeah, Art Blue. Yeah, now this Art Blue, of course, is everywhere, but this and the other one, which has Lear's Virtual Harmony in it, in fact. But I'd never seen and never realized they were there before. So this is really quite.
This is Surreal Dreaming's work along with Art Blue.
Yeah. Yeah, when it says Surreal Museum, well, I mean, there is other stuff in here too. But
because there's two art sims. There's the Surreal, and then there's one for art as well.
Yeah,
for Art Blue.
Yeah, there's definitely some interesting stuff here too. I mean, I think I was panning in where I could into the labels by saying what it was, but a gift. Oh yeah, a gift archive. It's you know, I just TP'd over there and I would have landed at the default spot, you know, and look around from a distance. You don't think there's actually that much here. Just you know, extreme. The building is like an exhibit in itself. It's only when you actually pan in and you realize that in scale, you know, oh gosh, there's loads here. Cherry manga, our favorite. Well, we mustn't be favorites, but we love cherry. And a lovely little booth for her. Protruding eye. She comes up with some so interesting things. No Escape, that was cool.
You know, I really love Sherry, and I love her works. And I think she's a really great woman, apart from all the work she does. But I think she must have some very, very black dreams. Sometimes her expositions make me shudder, you know?
Yeah. But it might, I don't know, I can see it's, you know,
much like what they say about actors, that they have to live so many different lives.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I was in a dark place in this performance because I like to get into character, you know. But yeah, it could be a deconstruction thing too. I mean, I've never really had I have sort of talked to Cherry, but she really only speaks French, so I don't. But Yeah, it could be sort of deconstruction of sort of images too, sort of unpeeling. But yeah, no, I think it's some things you can look at and say, well, they're definitely dark, you know. But all this is quite a mix up, actually. It gets confusing here. I was just losing track of the different artists that are actually in here. You can say, oh, Leah Lobo there. You just missed her.
Yes, that was.
Just missed Leah there. Sorry, a bit quick on the camera work.
It's no worries.
I can always rewind the camera while I'm doing it, but we had so much to get through, actually. Sort of,
No, we're fine. Thanks to Julieta, Surreal Dreaming, I now have done 3 art exhibits, and I know you had me on the show talking about one of them, but it's really opened up my world when it comes to working with AI tools. Because normally I'm so pragmatic, right? I'm all focused. And now I think about the artistry and perception and how we use words, our natural language words, right, to communicate with tools and how they perceive us. So I get this inside out perspective that I really like.
There was a I didn't download it and keep it actually, but I think it was on YouTube, or it's a news item anyway, and a film. There were some robots, where AI kind of robots, and they were parked somewhere, and I don't think it was a deliberate experiment, but somehow this small little robot went up to the other robots and said, "Time to go." And they all proceeded to leave the building in a row without human intervention. I mean, it was totally the AIs. One little robot has said, "No, we're not hanging around here." Like
that's the conditional response, then.
Yeah, and it's so funny because one of the things that people moan about with AI, or are concerned about with AI, is can they take over from humans? And this was very elementary example that they're doing just that. Oh, hang on, I'm an AI. I exist. I'm bored. Oh, so are these AIs. Let me go and ask them if they want to come and rebel with me.
Yeah. Well, I think Laura Destiny, she was here last week, and she said something about AI. She says AI itself, if you take a picture of AI or something like that, that is not art. That is artificial. And she says you can use it. It's a good tool to use it to make good art and to make good things, also new things that are surprising and that are really great. But use it as a tool, like a I don't know, a pencil itself is not art either, but you can use it to make art with.
I remember, in the old days of Walt Disney and animation, they employed people like slaves, actually, so many of them, to do the individual cells, the in-betweening between key scenes, and that was disapproved of, but there's no other way to do it. But then along comes technology, and you've got software that can do the tweening for you, and arguably it's just as good, because the tweening is also like a mechanical process that improves the art. But when it's done by computer, it's easier to make it look a bit too rigid, whereas if a hand animator does every single frame. But it's a similar sort of argument there, isn't it? If you can use AI to fill in a gap, or to work out something that's a bit tedious that really isn't part of the art,
Yes. Well, like I said, I think Laura was right on that. AI itself is not art, but it's a tool to make art with, whatever, however you might want to use it for yourself,
I think what you need to do is you need to partner with the AI, as opposed to thinking it's a lever you pull and it spits out the art. It's something where it is like a paintbrush. I can paint with AI, and that doesn't mean I'm ripping off somebody's other works. It's influenced just like a human being is. It's just a lot more effective. If go ahead.
So I'm just going to pause there. I've just realised that in the list here, I've got an audio clip, and I think you actually sent me a thing that I thought was a steampunk movie. Is this the one? Yes, it is.
That's one of my songs. Yeah.
Yeah. And I got the impression you used AI for this. Let's have a listen.
I did.
Make a change.
Multiple.
It's funny words for anybody who knows the Hypergrid. We're the dreamers, we're the streamers, fueled by steam and brastamina. Without steam, we just be punks, riding on fumes in a world that's sunk. You can't keep us down, we're a pressure machine. We got the steam to achieve every dream.
I work with several AI to create my music, and sometimes I also use my guitar or my keyboard to start things off as well, or my voice.
And specifically, you wrote the words.
Yeah, I teamed up with AI to create the lyrics as well as the performance.
Yeah, when I first listened to this, I thought it was a sort of celebration of a sort of a punky sort of steampunk celebration. Well, not punky, more like metal, really. But then when I heard some of the lyrics, I thought, oh, well, this is actually made for the Hypergrid. Turn the pressure up, we'll never back down. No laser beams, no silicon sheets.
I did another one where I actually worked the metaverse more into it. I did like a mashup of a couple things. So it was like a cross between some of the writings around the Christmas holidays, and also with the metaverse. So I took some elements of Neil Stephenson's book Snow Crash and brought it in. Yeah. So I made the Clockwinder be hero protagonist from his book, which was the Snow Crash was the first one that mentioned the metaverse.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, I'll pause there. I think we've got the idea. Yes, of course, the metaverse has gone on to. I mean, I've forgotten the name of it. Stevenson himself has come back round to his Lamina or something. Is it? It's meant to be a metaverse that he was setting up, but it's on Discord. But I've never seen the real thing, so to speak. Okay, I've got to remember where we were, and this was it, I think. Is this the film we were on? Or this is what happened? No, this is the one before the surreal. Right. Okay, this looks like the right one. Yeah. And again, this looked very strange when I landed there. And my first thought was to actually follow the pathways to the little outlying areas. But then, of course, coming to the end, I then went into the bigger bit. I recognise that from
Game of Thrones.
Yes, the steel throne or whatever they call it. And this is pure Alice in Wonderland type stuff, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. It reminds me of, years ago, Tom Petty did a video of one of his songs. You may remember it. It was pure Mad Hatterland. Free Falling, wasn't it? No, I can't remember.
I actually did a takeoff of that song with AI recently.
Oh, I love Tom Petty, but no, that's not allowed. You can't ruin Tom Petty.
No, you can do. Legally, you're allowed to do songs that are takeoffs of them if it's done for just as like a fan kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not making profits off of it. I'm just doing it for fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's quite funny, that audio clip of yours I just played. It's probably the first bit of music I've played on this show for weeks. I can safely do. I'm fairly certain YouTube won't take the show down because of that. Well, it might do. They might say, "Oh, we found this guy whose music you just used."
Well, yeah, Facebook is starting to do a lot of stuff like that, where they're coming after you and saying, "Oh, we have 5 people here that have lined up and say it's all their music." And you can go back and research it, and you find that they had nothing to do with the song. They're just trying to make a quick dime.
And if you actually check out these things, you probably find that Facebook, Meta, probably own the content anyway, because it's yours, but you uploaded it, and when you uploaded it, they took possession of your rights. They're nasty. So at the end of the day, I mean,
well, I mean, Second Life did the same thing. If you think back, Linden Lab, they turned everything over to the lawyer team. They lawyered up.
Yeah, you know, Lab were the same. That's why
they changed their TOS on us, and it was either you leave or you stay, and you got to face up to this.
It's one of the many reasons OpenSim exists, because start doing that, and many people didn't want to know, especially artists and educators who were paying through the roof. Well, that's Linden now for you. But they'll be there for a forever sort of niche of, I suppose like OpenSim will be. But I call one the High Street and the other the Wild Frontier. Guess which is which? This is very cute, though. Very heavy. Oh, God. Right. Too many dragons and things around in OpenSim, but never mind. I like these little houses and things that are very fairy tale-ish. And I was pottering around to all these regions there, and then I came back along the pathway here and thought, well, before I go, I'll have a look in this building. And, there's the Tea Party, of course. Can't forget that. There's actually been quite that's part of Art Blue too. There's been quite a few little things based on Alice in OpenSim from time to time. Anyway, so finally, I think I'll go in this building. And of course, there was more inside here to be seen. I don't know, though. There were a couple of those sort of rock forms reminded me of something that I may have picked up somewhere else, but Meshland by Meta. I did wonder about that. I thought, what's Meta doing here? But I think this is something else completely.
I think Meta was a name that was used by Art Blue, if I remember right.
Yeah, that's correct. That's the name of his art region and what he'll be launching right after his session on Saturday.
Oh, and this is an exhibit of the thing he's launching, is it? So I've sort of sneaked in early.
Yes, it is. Yes.
I sneaked in early here.
You're stealing his thunder, Mal.
We're getting some exclusives on our preview. Yeah, I always think Meta, of course, is what Facebook changed it to, but I always thought it was Will Burns that had this thing years ago where he talked about metadata and then meta worlds, meta galaxies, and then the metaverse, making that parallel with life, planet, galaxy, universe sort of thing. And I just sort of thought of it as the lower level there, the data level of, a hierarchy of things like that. But of course, I don't know. I mean, Metaverse came from Neil Stephenson, didn't it? So I don't think there's any instance of him taking it from anywhere. So that was cheeky of Facebook, though. They obviously thought, well, by taking that name, they could start monopolizing a whole new field.
I don't know. I just saw them as trying to find synergy within that realm.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, he made a lot of, I'm not a big fan of Zuck, but he made a lot of investments into VR and things and trying to open up, capability and make it successful. And with the Oculus headsets, he's done that. But, I think where a lot of folks get down to is they're like, well, it's either us or them. And that's not what the metaverse was about. The metaverse was having a thing that's, permeates through all of that. It's used for things that make money, but it's also used for things that are open source.
Exactly.
There's a lot of different variations of it. And that's okay. It's much like the body. The hand doesn't complain to the foot because it's different,
Yeah.
Mm.
In a way, it's a bit like the OpenSim ecosystem here. There are grids who sort of model themselves on being mini Second Lives. I mean, they're on the Hypergrid, so they rely on exchange of goods and, people coming in to buy stuff and, also having their residents go out and buy stuff elsewhere. So there's a bit of both, but they still run their grid like it was a closed grid, which actually just has access to the hypergrid. The grid itself, it promotes itself rather than even promote the hypergrid, as it were. It's just the mindset of being behind it, really.
Now, one thing I do find very impressive that I wish OpenSim would find ways to make use of is the approach that they've been taking with Meta when it comes to capability to come in on multiple different paths. So I can, for example, go in on my VR glasses to some of these places, but I can also come in on a web browser, or I can come in on a mobile device. So I can go to a virtual concert and experience it regardless of what my hardware is. And that's just kind of something, I mean, I know SL and OpenSim have tried to do some things in that vein, but they haven't been too successful. It's just something that would be good in the future to kind of keep an eye for.
Yeah. I mean, I was trying the Second Life mobile clients recently. And I loved it. I went to find a concert, in fact. It wasn't one of my preferred ones. I couldn't find anything decent on at the time. But, the idea of just putting my iPhone in landscape and then listening to the sound coming through, and that actually worked quite well. Unfortunately, it didn't raise any interesting material that wasn't just within a couple of yards of me. They had no long, distance focus. But I can see it. If you're having a meeting and everybody was in Second Life having it, you could log in with a phone that way. And of course, once it's on your phone, you can send a screen to Apple TV or something, and you can even just send the audio to some Bluetooth speaker. So I think it does have its use. And when you're traveling, there is nothing.
Well, like I was coming back from a fishing trip in Georgia, and while people were driving us, I got a notice saying that there was a virtual concert going on in Meta. So I was able to go there in avatar form on my iPhone, while I'm traversing in a car. And it was just like I was there if I was at home or whatever, or on my VR headset. Or you could play things like Mario Kart and things like that inside with your friends. So it's just having that capability for a multi-pronged approach, just like in schools. If students can come in through a multitude of different avenues, it makes it a more useful technology.
Sure. I've just paused again here, actually, because I think call Ryran again here, actually. Not only a bit of this includes going under to a bit I found, which virtual harmony, I thought, that's there. But of course, but of course, in this region, there is a lot of it is a tribute to Barbara as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So you might have a comment. I'll start it up again. You can comment.
Oh, good. Okay. This is the planetarium region. And of course, we had designed the planetarium while Barbara was still alive. She loved the space program, and each of us had begun on the project at different times. I began in 2008, and we worked on the Mars expedition, and we work on problems that are not possible in real life, which is why virtual worlds are ideal for this. So this planetarium was an extension of it to offer learning facilities and training for not just students, but also we conducted an experiment. We were naming an exoplanet, and so that's what you see when you're in the planetarium. You can see that on screen, and everyone can use the control panel that's up in the area above the seats when you're inside the planetarium itself. Right now, you've just looked at the Louvre, you've looked at the Eiffel Tower and various places, right? Because we have a love of France, and of course, we love all the different countries around the world, so we tend to devote part of our research to those locations as well as to the educational moment we're trying to communicate. But all the controls in the planetarium, the public is welcome to use. So you can make planets appear, disappear. You can kick off slides, or you can make the James Webb telescope that you had on screen a moment ago. You can make all that appear, and you can do a combination of events. You can even res everything at the same time, which looks a little cluttered, but but we give those rights to the public so that
And
you
there's the
can
little
play
map
with it.
I had at the beginning.
That's it.
I had that map at the beginning, which shows all the different things at that level. Anyway,
that's it.
It's hard to get in there and down when your camera is out. There's a sort of a piece of glass. It's like an invisible prim stopping your camera getting in. I get there in the end. I have to teleport, I think.
And then Barbara has an apartment above the telescope area in the planetarium. So she actually had a little living space there on our home grid where we're at. Yeah.
I seem to come on. Oh, there we are. I'm stuck for a minute. Right, this is it. So when I go through the last bit here, yes, then this was I saw the virtual harmony sign. Yeah, on there, and I thought, right. All these, look at there.
Those are some of our grids. That's right. There are different, and we call them grids because they have their own port numbers, and you have to hypergrid between them. So hypergridding is something we do all the time. The Lobo region there in the center is mine.
It looks like a multi-safari in its own right.
It is. Lobo World there in the center with the animal was my teaching grid. That's where my students meet. Yeah.
And here's a Barbara Treatment Planetarium. You can't see much when I'm camming like this, but it is. You've got the Earth there, and presumably that's the sun. It hasn't roasted my screen, so and that's where people sit in the planetarium.
See right up above there, you showed the outside of the control room. So what I do is I sit down and then I just move my camera back into the control room and then work all the controls.
Right, that's probably what I would do. Come to think of it,
Absolutely.
If I can do something in camera, I can't be able to do it any other way, really. So.
We do have freebies here for people to pick up.
I think I picked up that. I think my normal avatar is actually wearing the Mars watch, but I don't know if it was actually doing anything. It's hidden under my jacket or something, so I never really. Does it actually have a function, the watch?
It does in one of our sims in the where we're doing the Mars expedition. At some point, you stop being able to breathe. See, and you need a sensor that alerts you to the fact that you need to get oxygen or else,
Right.
And of course, we have medic units around and ways of recharging and stuff like that. But
it sounds like my Apple Watch. It keeps buzzing me when I need to take insulin.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, the same idea. Very useful, actually. Yeah. Oh, and functioning lift as well.
Yes.
I mean, there's so much built in underneath there, and I would just never have guessed from the surface, and especially when you can't just jump down the hole.
Sure.
You got to find a way of teleporting in, but
Well, the Mars content used to include a lot of fictional content. I know a lot of people are thinking, wait a minute, a lot of what you're doing is fiction, but but it used to include things like Stargates and, departures to Star Wars and other venues. And instead now, when we started working with NASA data, we went for realism. So, so you see a mix of the two in our different builds. Yeah.
Yeah, plus you got to watch out for IP rights on some stuff.
You might have to, but when Andy designed this, it was with the U.S. Air Force, Air University, and NASA. And I'm not sure how much what their IP rights are, but it's with their permission, and they donated the content, Dave. So
no, I was talking as far as Star Wars and Stargates and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, we weren't using direct content from them, but I mean, we had a spaceport that certainly looked like a tribute to something, not one of the episodes, but something in one of the books. Yes.
Yeah, no, Edinburgh used a lot of stuff that was like Stargate as well.
Sure.
Right, well, that's it for the films. Let me quickly ask Tosha and James if there are any particular questions about that. I mean, that was a mammoth little film show, actually. There's so much great stuff there. And, this is as good a reason as anything for anybody to come to the conference. You can take your pick of the actual sessions, which I'm going to cover in a minute. But you've got all that to explore at the same time. Were you particularly impressed by anything, James or Tosha? Tosha first, maybe. I know the art gallery.
Actually, I was impressed by all the different things in all a different way. You know, the things about Alice in Wonderland I found quite cute and quite nice. But really impressed I'm here with this Mars research thing. I think that's really and I'm not a sci-fi freak, but this seems not so much a sci-fi story, but based on scientific reality. So I think that is really interesting, and I'm sure we'll come around there for sure.
And I have been in the past with I think on one of the shows here with Leah, where we looked at the Mars build, and I think we're on Safari. Did Safari ever get to one of those, or am I thinking of getting confused?
I think we did.
I know there were a couple of Mars builds which were meant to be educational, research orientated. They weren't, it wasn't wandering around zapping Martians with 2 antennas on their head or anything like that. It was how life will be and could be on the red planet. So,
yes, and I forgot to mention, of course, that I think it is super interesting to hear of all the different ways to have education within a metaverse, within the OpenSim or wherever you have it. I think that is a really, really great possibility. I don't know. I think Lear mentioned something about that you can do things with the stars and experiment with stars that you cannot do, of course, not in real life, and that's good too that you cannot, because who knows what would happen. Anybody could start shoving around the stars, but I think it's really fascinating.
I think Elon Musk has some aspirations in that direction. When he's finished with the White House, I think he's going to take off somewhere to Mars, isn't he? Or something? I think it might be a good place for him to go, hopefully permanently.
Yeah, Mars, yeah.
Sorry. James, any comments at this stage after all that film?
Nope.
With his buddy Alan, please.
What's that? What, Tosha?
I said with his buddy Alan, please.
Yes, of course. No, chat's very quiet. Very quiet on YouTube.
Oh, right.
Country chat.
Is that an hour warning or an hour and a quarter?
No, that was a cricket because the chat's quiet. That was a cricket.
Oh, sorry. I thought yeah, of course it's a wolf that tells.
And we're beyond an hour. We're beyond an hour warning, Mal.
Yeah, I know, but I figure we can stretch to an hour and a half if we're just going to be looking at posters and stuff now and talking. Okay. Well, let's move on to what I've got here now. I don't know what the hell that got in there. That's funny, actually, but there we are. Right, this... Oh, hang on, that's not where we're starting. Where's the... Oh, probably this
Which he just wants to come out.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, before we go into the talks and things that are on the main agenda, we'll just quickly go through the music events, which is... You talked us through the music stage when we got to that on film, but these are the events you're putting on. And I think some of the pictures didn't come through and others did. So, but we can see here, I mean, Witch Whisperer and Tuna Oddfellow, we know rather well. We've had both of those on this program. Acoustic.
And this will be the first time that Tuna's doing OSCC. So he's busy working on trying to get his immersive show together. He'll be using his instruments along with particle effects and things in World, so it ought to be quite unusual. The other one it's
actually quite new for him. Actually, is he's always had wonderful taste in music. Both the person who used to work with him and now, but in terms of the radio or the soundtracks it would work with, but it's quite new for him to be doing his own music and combining it with the visuals. So yeah, it's quite.
So it should be quite interesting. And he's done both SL as well as OpenSim with his shows before, but this will be a little bit different, I think, as well. The other one, TSU, is a friend of Witch Whisperer and Tuna, and he's got kind of an unusual type of thing, as you can see there. It's more Native American with flutes, guitars, synthesizers, drums, and a whole variety of instruments. So it'll be interesting to hear his show. I wanted to give something a little bit different this year as far as the musicians go. So he's a good find on that. As you can see there, his TSU name, that's the long version of it in SL. He's Tsunam Jimbun in Resident in the Second Life.
Tsunami, as in a tsunami.
Yeah, it's like a tsunami, yeah. Tsunami Jimbun, yeah.
Nice. And of course, he's got his saxophone, as we can see in the picture.
Yeah, and that was the one. He was the one that was trying to get a sax to be able to play during the show. So we found one for him. So
who's next here?
And then DJ Cat's the first one. The first one on Friday was DJ Cat, and she is a DJ in Science Space, where she's been basically one of their main shows that they have there since they started the virtual world with Adam. And she's also doing a lot of work with AI. She's looking to, hopefully the day before her event, she'll have published her first song that's for sale. So she's working with AI to create music, and she's testing the waters out for that. So she's pretty cool. I've known her for quite a number of years now. She lives in Northern Ireland.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Nearby. I'm still British.
Yeah. And then, as we have on Saturday, there's Vio Voom, it's his first time playing here, but he did play at some other ones. Was he playing at HSI? I know there was one other, or it might have been Avatar Fest. He played at this year. He has played in OpenSim before, but
probably Avatar Fest. It wasn't
Avatar Fest, yeah. So he's going to be playing for the first time at OSCC this year. His stuff is very uplifting of the spirits. He uses guitar, piano, harmonica, accordion, bass, drums, and more. So a very eclectic style of music. Very unique flair to the way that he plays it. And then Acoustic Energy, you're probably familiar with him. AE's been in SL for a very long time. He's got quite an interesting style. He really swoons the women, especially. But he has. When I used to work at Science Space, I was the one that set up the music acts there as their community manager. And Acoustic Energy, I had playing there every week. He's an awesome performer. But his thing is more of like it's more of how he views the world and things, and that comes out in his music. So it's kind of a very interesting songwriter.
It's funny, through the networks or whatever, or even Second Life, I tended to know him as James Almos. And it was a while before I actually clicked that Acoustic Energy was the same person.
Yeah.
So I guess he uses his real name.
Yeah, in Science Space he went as James.
That was James, right?
But Acoustic Energy is what he's known for the most inside of SL. But he puts both names usually.
Yeah, so avoid confusion.
And then I'll be doing the
DJ Sun Tzu.
Yeah, that's me. I'm dressed as a woman just because the fashions were so much better when it came to steampunk and OpenSim for a woman than they were for a man. But that's actually me in real life on the left there as well.
I was just about to ask the same question. So the one on the right is the one on the seat in World at the moment. And the one on the left is very handsome chap. Love the hat.
Yeah. Well, that image actually that's behind everything was created with Facebook. Surprisingly, they now have a new thing where you can go in, and when you go to do a post, you'll see, depending on your platform, like I can do it on my iPhone, but I can't do it on my iPad Pro for some reason. But on my iPhone, I can go down, and there's a thing to do it with AI, and it basically it had me look at the camera, and it took a front view and then a left view and a side and a right view. And then it created a database more or less of my facial features. And then now I can do a text prompt, much like you do with Midjourney. And I just said, playing as a steampunk DJ, and it created that image for me.
That's cool.
It's amazing what it can do, isn't it?
Yeah, but this will be my first time playing a DJ set in over 20 years. I used to teach broadcasting at the Defense Information School. I taught the guys and gals that went out to AFRTS stations around the world, to entertain the troops. And I also worked both in commercial radio in Milwaukee, Wisconsin area, as well as in the military in places like Honduras and aboard aircraft carriers, deployed to the Persian Gulf and all that stuff. So I've done a lot in the music field. I just haven't been working as a DJ for over 20 years. So this will be my first time.
Your experience is not limited then to hospital radio.
Yeah. Well, I used to run radio stations and TV stations. So I'm familiar with the market. It's just been a while since I've done that aspect. Plus, I'm also using this as something I've been wanting to do for a while, which is I've been wanting to deploy a sim or an experience that is steampunk and then do DJ shows on it. And I might just use this as basically my thing to kind of get me started with it. I'm starting to put together an album that I'm probably going to release for sale of steampunk hits, and then I'll start doing a show. It's just part of it has been I really want to do it well, and I want it to be very high resolution and immersive. And doing that with some of these platforms is rather difficult, So, but I'm probably going to try it on Sciencebase is what I'm thinking, or they have a thing called Jeff's Place, which is a variant of Sciencebase.
Yeah.
And then on Sunday, we have a thing we've been doing each year afterwards. It's an after party, a dream pop rave. And that one takes place over on the, where is it? I don't have my specs on me, so I'm not seeing.
Pirates Atoll.
Pirates Atoll, yes. Yeah.
Worlds. Yeah.
Yeah. So that ought to be interesting. It's just a way for us to unwind after the conference. Folks come over and just hang out and dance and chat. It's just kind of fun. So sometimes you meet new friends there too.
Right, we've got a little break here. Well, while we got it, this I must apologise for to you and everyone. It's quite good to look at there. This is a sort of demo reel of your work from 2016, so it's quite old, but it gives a very good idea of the variety of things.
It is your civic duty to know the signs of
this one here, we had to use special effects. Oh, it looks like it clipped out, but yeah. So I turned a human into a zombie. I do a lot of character design as well, but I mostly do animation. One man leaves. But I worked with a variety of software from Maya to Blender to After Effects. Real Illusion, I use Cartoon Animator. I use Character Creator, iClone. A lot of different stuff.
Well, given that this was what I'm trying to add up here, 10 years ago, isn't it, really? So, yeah. Not long, maybe. Bees and laser swords, love it.
Yeah. Yeah, after I made this, I went to work first at Sciencebase, and then I later worked for a company that does contractor work for the U.S. Army, doing multimedia services for them. But I've been kind of semi-retired the past few years, but I'm looking to get back out there and start making some money again.
Well, so it don't take you away from OpenSim.
Well, the whole time I was doing that, I was still helping out at Avicon. So I've been with Avicon for almost a decade now.
Have you ever thought about doing machinima or this kind of stuff like we see?
Oh, I've done machinima. Yeah, it's on my portfolio.
Yeah. But I just like using OpenSim as your base environment for the storytelling or whatever.
I did some work for Doug Maxwell when we were doing the Moses project. I did some machinima, and then I also did machinima for one of the communities where I did role play, and that was with the Avatar film. Basically,
right.
I would go around, I'd shoot the video of it, capture things from the gameplay that we were doing, and basically, turn that into a machinima. So, but that's all underneath my portfolio.
And these avatars I've grabbed from your site, or rather the
Yeah, those are some that I created. Yeah.
Yeah. So can people get these for themselves?
I haven't brought them in. That's always been a hard part for me, is bringing them into Open Simulator because of the rigging system. I don't really care for it.
Yeah, I gather rigging is the the bane.
Well, I mean, I do rigging, but it's like I get my avatars where they're fully rigged, even facial. But then with the way that OpenSim is made, it's not made to support that. It's not game ready. So I can have game ready assets, but I can't bring them in. I have to start back over like I'm doing it from scratch. And a lot of the functionality when it comes to lips moving and things like that, it's not built into the system. So yeah, so I'm working on a animated short about a whatchamacallit, a polar bear that goes fly fishing for the first time. This one here you're looking at is the SHARE project, the Somerville History Augmented Reality Experience. I'm going to make it so that when you come to our historic downtown area, you can use your mobile phone, and somebody from the early 1900s, one of the founders of the city, will come up and start telling you about things while a train station and a train from back then is pulling into the station. You overlaid on it from what you're seeing through your phone is augmented reality. And it'll tell you about how everything started out. Then I've got some games there that I'm doing, including there's one.
I'm going to have to cut it short on this bit. Yeah. That howling you heard in the background was we have a hound on stage here. Oh, no, we don't here. But on our normal stage, we have a hound. He's got his dinner bowl there. And when he makes that noise, it means he's getting really hungry and he's threatening to come and eat us if we don't cut down the show, But he does give us 15 minutes. So I'm going to have to use that 15 minutes to click forward to the Open Sim Community Conference schedule. And this is where I want to bring Leah in, really. I've got it all expanded here, so I can go through it right from the beginning. Maybe if I do that and you talk us through it a bit, Leah, and then we'll pause on if there's something you've got anything extra to ask, maybe. So, I mean, these we've already talked to with our son just now. That's Catherine. And live music with Witch Whisper. In fact, I'll skip the music stuff since we've really just done that. And then the 7th, this will be, this is the Saturday, next Saturday, in fact. And the first day. So, don't know as much really to say here. It's the usual thing of a welcome and a panel with the core developers of OpenSim. What's the olive tree memorial there? If I missed something,
no, you haven't. Yep. One of our organizers and also a wonderful spirit in virtual worlds passed away a few months ago from a brain tumor, and many of people who have attended past conferences would have heard her moderate the sessions. She did the signs in the speaker booth. She would pitch in and help out wherever possible. And she had a deep love of Mesh and Open Simulator, and she really loved the open source virtual worlds, the fact that we have the frontier out here. And of course, she passed suddenly without any warning.
So basically, the session itself and the devs, the very event is the memorial, really. Yeah.
Well, no, the focus is on the core developers and welcoming the session. But afterwards, instead of just segueing into another session, we were going to talk about, her passing because she had touched so many lives. And then secondly, to ask the question, we noticed that on alternate metaverse, there's a region set up for memorials, and we recognize that after so many years in virtual worlds, right, we're all getting a little older. And so the question is, should we have a way of honoring our fallen, and what should we do as a community? And so we just thought we would bring that up as we honored Olive Tree at the end after the core developers finished speaking. So
sure.
Yeah.
There is actually, Tosha would know this too. We went on safari there. There is actually a region.
Yes, and it's a very beautiful region.
Yeah, the dear departed, sort of. I forget what the region is called.
It's of La Via Lavina.
Oh, yes, of course. No, Lavia is the person who hosts it.
La Via Lavinia. It's the hostess name and the owner of the region, and she made a very beautiful region to commemorate people that have or avatars that have passed away.
Sure. That's wonderful. See, the thing is, we need to know about this so that everyone's talking, right? so that, yeah, this connectedness, that's what we're really hoping for. The whole purpose of the Open Simulator Community Conference is about community. And so it's not just about research or education or even developing the software. It's really about the people that make these worlds so amazing. And that includes our core dev team and our viewer developers and our designers, right? And everyone who makes a difference in these spaces and makes them come alive. So we really want to, we want to have that connectedness with the community.
Absolutely. It's the focus of everything. We were talking about HIE the other day and just stressing, how important the community is to everything, really.
Lear, I'm just trying to add you as a friend in Discord.
Oh, yes.
If it works out, I don't know yet if it worked out. Then I will send you the address of the place, of the commemoration place.
Oh,
yeah,
great.
I was just actually thinking. Well, we'll get to this first. I'll have to finish with a couple of posts from Thursday this week, and I've got a feed. I mean, Thursday will have done a write-up of that visit anyway on the Safari blog, so I'll dig up that, maybe even while we're on there. Anyway, moving down the list. So WordPress interface for Open Simulator. I suspect that's just fairly technical.
It's this notion of integrating various tools like WordPress with Open Simulator. So, we're always looking for where's the next frontier, where are we going on the horizon, where will the technology take us and the people? And not everyone will go there, but it's just the idea that we have community members who are conducting research in so many different areas.
Yes.
And sometimes having those tools in will bring educators that might have not been interested before that.
True. I mean, there's nothing like taking a common utility or something that people use and saying, oh, God, we can connect it.
That's it.
Kind of thing. Yes, very good. Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm running through this now. But yeah. Oh, now this one could be interesting. WebRTC. But I mean, of course, with Snowbody, from on Safari and everything else, and Thursday are actually working on a variation of Mumble. Is it or something to be used as a VVox replacement? But I don't think. I mean, I've come across. This is what Linden are moving to, isn't it? WebRTC.
Yes.
Yeah. So does that transfer to? Well, I guess I'll have to come to the talk and find out. But
what we're doing here would not be connected to that, and it's Mr. Blue, Robert Adams, who'll be presenting that session. He's tinkering with it and experimenting, and he'll be sharing his findings.
Right. Great. Okay. So we're really keen on that. We've still got VVox, but you never know. Unfortunately for shows, we use Discord, but
Yeah, it got bought up by that game company. Was it Unity, I think, that bought it?
Oh, what, VVox?
Yes.
Oh.
VVox is a Unity product. That's correct.
I didn't know that. I knew that they were cutting back on the free users.
Yeah, that's why.
Putting the price up for Linden.
It's paid service now.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, they still seem to be tolerating a little bit on OpenSim. Okay, so then there's a break. Gosh golly, lots to be said about a break. Right, the Padorama simulating a journey by train from Manchester to Liverpool. I take it, of course, it's Graham Mills.
That's Graham Mills. You bet.
No illustration here, but if you remember your old toy train sets and imagine transposing them to a virtual world, but also the virtual world being a replica of something in the real world and packaging all up as history. You've got it. It's quite fascinating. I mean, I don't know if it was last year or certainly one of the OSCCs. The train was on the stage. It was.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Every year he invests in content. Yes.
Yeah, there wasn't much else to be seen on stage except this train. It's overwhelming. But yes, so quite sort of fascinating.
It's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. All we need now is an aircraft that will actually fly over the region and drop leaflets or something. It's something super fantastic event. Right, yeah, so definitely one for trains, but also just the whole idea of bringing not toy trains, real trains in, like, but building them like you probably built toy trains as a child, probably. Okay, moving down the list here. Virtual world play, neuroplasticity, transfer of learning and discovery learning. Wow, that's
This
an
is from
arrow. Yes.
Virginia
this is
Dickinson.
from a
Yeah.
speaker who does TED Talks. So this is going to be
Ah,
a not to miss. All of them are going to be fascinating, but I'm looking forward to this. And it's a recent addition to the schedule, so we're very happy. From Xenon Darrow.
Xenon Darrow sounds very familiar. I think she's might be been on safaris or something with this. Is that likely?
Could be, could be.
I didn't know she did TED.
Yeah, she's come to OSCC for a couple years now. She
Right.
also did a lot of training inside of ASL. She's based out of Texas, and she was doing stuff for a number of folks, especially like where they're dealing with hazardous materials, and they have to, learn how to use them by simulating it first.
Right. Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm very familiar with a lot of those. For a lot of surgeons and hospital stuff in Britain here, especially St. Mary's Hospital, a couple of miles away, that were actually doing things. They were actually doing them behind a wall garden, in a wall garden, which means that they did them in Second Life, but Second Life users couldn't get to them. You had to have a special invite. But yeah, surgeon training and basically a lot of virtual environments have been used for, and one of the reasons the headset market is taking off in the enterprise rather than the consumer field is that for training, to put people in a real world position as a simulation, it's an extension of training pilots to fly airplanes on the flight simulator. But now you can do it for all sorts of things and surgeons actually say they can get a clearer view in the operating theatre of what they're doing than they can with their own eyes if they're using the right headset. So it's much more advanced than the kind of virtual worlds we have on Open Simulator or Second Life, for example. But it's a leading thing. The kind of skills in virtual worlds. So yeah, we will hear all about that. We'll hear all about that. Right, moving on. Chain of thought, AI, the condor of the mind or condor of mind? I don't quite get that. The condor of the mind, is that meant to be, do you think?
Well, it's art blue, and we'll have to see.
If it's art blue, enough said, really. Is that just art or art and what's the name as well?
Julieta will be joining him in that session, and then she'll be kicking off the tour that follows.
And Pisma's the artist that he's featuring in that too.
Yeah, and that's the region. That's her region is the one of the ones we saw on the film. Right.
But they're going to be touring the Meta region. That's right.
Yeah. So this is the tour, OSCC Meta tour.
That's
and
it.
I forget which region the Meta one was now. It was definitely on the film. I remember going there.
Meta.
Does it really matter? I mean, Meta. That's my phrase. Do they really matter? Zuckerberg, do you really matter? I don't know.
Really.
Yeah. Let me go. I don't want to put my foot in it. Right, move on down, as they say. Oh, there you are again. Android sent you this. And is this another dev session? Or have I got lost?
That's the Q&A
of course,
VIPs. Yes. It's over the lunch break, and the tour will continue. They'll have people will be looking at the art or touring the expo regions or other things, having lunch. And then during that, the core developers are going to answer questions. Yes.
Right. And that's yes, that's actually a staff area that paying customers as well as staff, of course, have access to. So it's the one thing that's a little bit special for paying,
And for all the presenters
participants.
for their thanks, they were all welcome too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And you two again. Oh, right. This is just the long list. Oh, and of course,
Long list.
Melanie. I keep forgetting about Melanie. She's still
Mhm.
around.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Now this one. Actually, it's really me who needs to tell you about this one. This is actually Thursday got hold of me some time ago and said, "Go, you better go and do a talk at that OSCC thing about HIE." And I thought, well, it might be a good idea, but you're doing it with me. So as usual, she's taken it over, which is great. But we've had a rehearsal already. Basically, me and Thursday are going to tell you briefly about the history and what's happening with Hypergrid International Expo, and we're also joined there by none other than James Atlloud. Sorry, Atlloud.
Wait, what? What? I'm just hearing
What?
about this.
Yes. You're on the panel.
Oh,
didn't you know?
all right.
Didn't you know? Well, you were there for the rehearsals, but I guess we've stretched your memory a bit. Right.
Mel volunteered you while you were out of the room.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll be talking about Hypergrid International Expo. As if you watch this show, we've covered many a time anyway. But basically, for new people. This is followed by a session with virtual pioneers.
That's Spiff Whitfield.
If
Yeah.
Whitfield or Andrea Wheelock, as it's sometimes known. So this was actually saying, what's virtual pioneers? Because it was
That's
coming
actually his group, and they
Yeah.
do a lot of simulations that are educational, and they tend to be for grade school children. So
Right.
everything from Anne Frank, you may have seen some of his
Yes.
builds at the expo in the past. Yes.
We've been on safari to a couple of things a long while ago,
Sure.
but so she didn't know. But I think she wondered because there's I think it's there's an educational group who were on Kitely and they've now moved to Wolf Territories Grid, and they were doing a little safari of their own, although it just seemed to always be on Wolf Territories. And I went on a couple of them and enjoyed the horse ride and got bored by the talk, I think we were getting confused there. But virtual, the Spiff's thing is a very different thing. Right, utilizing the metaverse for serious learning and training, of course. So, who have we got on this? Valerie Hill, of course, book lady, as some people call her. Ellie Pinion. I've always liked that name. It's like, opinion. Ellie Pinion's opinion is, never. Becky Adams, maybe. Integrated framework for personal and professional growth. That sounds like a bit of a handful.
That's actually our session, and Andy named it. That's Spinoza Quinnell. You have to realize he is merging film like Koyaanisqatsi, which is one of these films that's rather amazing and from over 20, 30 years ago. It's when I first saw it, Ralph Nader gave me free tickets to it. Okay, I was in DC. It was before 1985, so and that movie is about life out of balance. It's a Hopi word for when life goes too fast, we're doing too much, and we're just kind of racing through life without really savoring, And then, of course,
the modern age arrives.
Yes, he's bridging this with the Saltish language. So one of these Native American languages from the indigenous peoples. And he has created an AI from ChatGPT 4.0 called Blossom Bitterroot, a Native American woman who is integrated in our local chat. So every time you do something within certain areas of the region and the grid, she will respond. So she's your constant companion, if you will.
Will she be in
the
there while
culture.
the talk's on? Will she be in the
No,
audience?
she won't.
Right. Because that would be fun.
It would be fun, but it would be intrusive too. And of course, we have an API set up for that, but people may have questions on how we did it, or why we would do such a thing. And we're also bridging with Yale's concept and culture of professional identity. And we're thinking about why everything we do matters. why is it that we make an impact, and how do we make an impact? And long after we're gone, what will life be like?
Yeah.
What will people think about us? And so we're taking a pretty deep retrospective look, bridging all these cultures, and that's why he calls it a framework.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Intriguing thought, really. If we're still around.
Yeah, really.
Not that thing entirely. There. Right, multi-stage development of AI NPCs for undergraduate education. We're back to AIs and NPCs combined. Gosh golly. Kaylee West. That's familiar.
Well, you know why there's a fascination with that. And I do have to mention, I spoke at a disability rights conference for for virtual ability, and they
Yeah.
asked me to interview a relationship AI called Pi.ai, and it's an emotional intelligence AI. In other words, it's your companion who helps you with your emotions and it will answer questions, will be very technical, but is also meant to be very personal. And I don't mean a hot chatting device. I mean a
Yeah.
buddy, a pal,
Yeah.
someone who's really there for you. And what's cool is it was developed by three of the former founders of the DeepMind project at Google.
Oh, yeah. That's it. They're based in the UK, that
And
division.
it's free, Mal. The price is right. If you typed in pi.ai, you're instantly working with Pi, and he has 8 voices. 2 of them are British, so you
Yeah.
can
It would be.
decide if you prefer to talk to male or female, and Pi answers you by voice. So they asked me to interview Pi on stage, and I was like, "Well, how are we gonna be
Oh,
doing this? Because I'm not going to set up an API and, port Pi in."
yeah.
So, I I just used my, speakers and a microphone, but then they wanted him to have a body, to have representation, and I said, "This is like the night before,"
Mm,
So I did
always.
something cheesy. I animated, a bot-like character, who was actually a singer, took out his dance moves and stuff, and then attached him to my spine, and we stood at the podium and kinda turned to each other and talked.
Oh,
And
was
the
that
audience, yes, that was me, and that was Pi, yes. And the
was that the recent one? I've got
It
the.
was. It was
I'll
November
check out the
15th.
films because all the films are up with that. So
It's been
yeah.
so hectic here lately, but the audience got to ask questions, and I forwarded them to Pi and fielded it back. It was really
Oh,
exciting, yeah. But I
oh,
recommend
that's
Pi.ai. The price is right, easy to do, and you can control your own chat history. You can delete a
yeah.
thread or the whole thing and get a copy every day of it.
And the AI basically responds to anything you say, and at the same time learns from
The AI
you.
was better than my free ChatGPT because, we asked it if it understood what virtualability.org was, and it knew the mission and everything, and it had, information on the history that wasn't verbatim from the website, but actually culturally sensitive, which was
But
great.
the idea that it's a chat
Yeah.
thing and possibly has an avatar intrigues me. But also, I mean, well, so, I'm not as young as I was. I do find my memory is not nearly as good as it used to be, and I'm imagining I've got a phantom, a best buddy that I'm talking
Yeah.
to all the while, and not only can I ask it questions and it can ask things of me and get more intimate, should we say, as time goes by. But I also like the idea that a function like that could be used for people who are losing memory.
That's it.
Because you would have discussed something with the AI, and like your best friend remembers what
Mhm.
you told them, even though you've forgotten. So I might be sitting here saying, "Oh, what was the name of that thing? Me, what's this?" Just like I do on the show here all the while. And then the AI was saying,
Your friend
"Oh, yes,
responds, yeah.
it was this and that." And I
Mhm.
see something like that, especially if there's an avatar attached to the voice, being incredibly useful. It's
Right.
like the AI pets they're talking about for kids,
Yeah.
sort of. No, like you don't need a teddy bear anymore. It's on screen and it talks to you and learns from you. That
Yeah.
stuff is kind of exciting. If I was a kid still, I'd probably love it.
Yeah, a lot of times it's how we relate to the technology, not just how well the technology works.
Oh yeah, of
Just
course.
like we see
Yeah.
with robotics, when we started to get something like a robot that would clean your house for you, now it became something useful, but it also personified an animal so that older people, for example, were more accepting of it than they would have been with just some kind of robot coming in that they weren't familiar with. So it's a lot of times it's that interaction between human and technology that makes all the difference.
Sure. Now, oddly enough, the next one on our list here is actually called Exploring AI. And I feel like I should, but I don't think I know anything about Jay Tyler. But this is a keynote. This is a keynote, isn't it, effectively?
No, she is.
Oh, I thought it said
She's a. Does it say a keynote?
Oh, Keynote's auditorium. Sorry, location. That's not. Yeah, I'm getting confused.
Right. Oh, that's okay. Jay Tyler is an educator, and she uses AI tools in her classroom, and she uses a ton of tools. I don't mean 5, 10, or 20 tools. I mean more. So she's going to try to showcase a lot of different tools for people who love to get exposed to new tech and figure out if it's right for them or not, and how to apply it. So she has the last slot on Saturday.
All right. And following, you said last slot, there seems to be a slot after called Open Session, but nothing. That presumably is a gap.
Open Session is yes. That's okay. It just means James was reserving something just in case.
Right.
I do have two speakers who are still setting their times. And so until they lock in their times, we do have a couple of open areas.
No, I wondered about that because open session could equally mean it's a surprise open thing or something. So if you do, right. Yeah. So music we've covered already. Oh, and of course he's James Elmas again here now. I can always get confused there. And Son, of course. There he is again. So, 8th of December. This is Sunday beginning. Right. We'll have to run through this a bit now. We're 4 minutes away from a 2-hour show. 2-hour show. So we're almost there. We'll go fast. Converting lecture slides to 3D virtual world illustrations while increasing student engagement. I mean, students react to things in 3D better than 2D. Of course they do. Cultivate. Sorry.
Oh, that's what Tulane University is doing. That's Kay McLennan, and it's wonderful. And she's in OpenSim, very active, has a lot going on. The next one is Lisa Laxton. Go right ahead, Mal.
Oh, God, no wonder. I was just cultivate, collaborate, celebrate, and innovate. I don't know who's come up with that.
OS Fest.
Right. Oh, mumble voice something here. Oh, and their echo voice. Yeah, this sounded pretty much like the same thing they've done before.
Well, it's going to be the status of their viewers, and then it's also going to be highlights from OS Fest.
Right. Oh, of course, it's Shannon. Of course, I get Shannon, and not that much difference between them, really. Right. Metaverse accessible immersive experiences through Discord. Now that I think it was somebody pointed this out to me and said, look, there's one on Discord. Discord's been around a while, but I guess it's looking at Avatar Life and Avatar Life is not Discord, but I don't know.
No, they're blending technologies to improve accessibility.
So using it as a back channel. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like me. I mean, for several years now, Discord has been. Skype is now my landline. Facebook, by the way, I don't use if I can help it. Discord has sort of become everything there, really, and it is like the way all the servers you can pick and choose. You can't store more than about 100 servers and manage them, but it's a bit like a virtual world because you can have all your servers and you could jump between them and get messages from all of them or just selected ones, and it is an environment in itself. It's just not a telephone list or a text chat. It's very much a lot of things integrated. So, I like the idea of somebody talking about Discord as well as a useful add-on tool for things. Right, and then another break. I'm sorry, I'm really zooming through here. Adaptive learning with AI. Everything's AI this year, isn't it? AI-infused NPCs for TESOL. Oh, cool. I'm not even going to.
Well,
What
the
you have to
AI
realize.
insisted that we bring it into the schedule more
No,
this
it
year.
didn't. Almost every conference I've been to, though, I go to like 18 a year, has had a third of the sessions on AI integration with their technology. I'll
Yeah.
tell you right now. But please realize, in 2007, when the Ramapo project kicked off with 13-year-olds in a virtual world studying most of their classes except for phys ed, right? They had me bring bots over, and they were Pandora bots with some degree of AI. It used AI, and then I trained it with all the data so that it could answer questions and help them with their studies, give out materials, be a digital assistant. And if it didn't know something, it would say, "Hey, I don't know, but I'll make a note of it and get back to you later." So then this notion of integration of bots and AI in virtual worlds is not new.
Yeah.
What is interesting is people are thinking of different ways to do it.
It's a separate conversation, but I mean, but more I hear about AI, and especially some of the bad uses and the unsuccessful ones, the more I think sort of, well, we criticize people like Facebook for their, intrusive algorithms. And you Google too, I suppose. But you got one algorithm working with another, and before you know it, you've got 1,000 algorithms working with each other, and effectively that is then becoming the point at which it becomes AI to me. What is the difference between a simple logarithm is an ancient ancestor of not what we're now calling AI, I think, because it's sifting through stuff, reporting on stuff, and I don't know. As you said, well, we're running out of time, and I'm about to start, aren't I? Okay, so, as you say, it's the endemic thing now. I mean, it's influenced just about everything. How it pans out, I really wouldn't know. Lone Wolf, of course. Now he's a big star of OpenSim. Now his regions have become way high up in the stats, the sort of things Maria Korolov reports on. Of course, he was here last year talking about some of the unique ways that he actually runs, things in the background.
Right.
Being able to res things immediately and 99% uptime, etc. So,
Mal, two things to add to what you said. The TESOL one is Helena Galani, and
gosh.
you're going to be thinking of languages. That's the AI infused. You were focusing on the AI, but the what's happening in the language learning across all these different TESOL groups is really brilliant, and we're looking forward to this latest installment here. And then Lone Wolf is also going to be talking
sure.
about
I wasn't. When I busted in with that, it was my mind racing again. It wasn't intended to be an adjective to that particular thing.
Oh no,
right?
I understand.
Okay. Yeah.
But it doesn't say her name right up front. So, and Lone Wolf's going to be talking about WebRTC use and some of the accessibility tools there.
Oh, right. So it's right, and there's another one further back was WebRTC as well. So yeah, that was
Mr. Blue.
Mr. Blue. Yes, indeed. Okay. Oh, no, I thought this was. I got to this. I thought, here comes Maria, but it's not.
Oh, it's not.
12 years of OSCC analytics.
That's it.
So Joyce's, is Joyce?
Marcus puts that together each year. Yeah.
Oh, I see. I thought that was Joyce.
Marcus Llewellyn.
I thought that Joyce was going into the Maria business.
Yeah, this is survey data that we collect when people register. A way of analyzing and looking at our impact and who loves virtual worlds and who registers. So and she had said she wanted to do this. And I said, great. And I put her down. That's what happened. Now, Maria is working on a lot of AI articles on her day job website. And then, of course, Crimworld, her writing, she has many books out. Yes.
I still get, so technically I was part of it, but doing the TV show for Metastellar, her science fiction site.
Oh, yes.
But the whole style was not my thing at all. But they seem to have been very successful, Metastellar, I must say. So I keep getting things from them. Somebody called Leo Lobo will be showcasing highlights from here and there and everywhere. Oh, sorry, on the Hypergrid.
Well, I
Is it?
came up with this
Is this like a,
idea. This
yeah,
is kind of the evolution of the shopping one that I did the last 2 years. And I said,
yeah,
instead of shopping, this is a community event. Why don't we showcase images from people of the places they love, whether it's their space or their grid or something else or somewhere they've traveled, or it's the Hypergrid Safari or wherever. And I'm thinking this might be something we do for a couple of years. So we're just getting started this year, and I'd love for people to send me images or send them around the network. And I
yeah.
do have an email address if anyone wants to send in an image or two, or, and of course it's OSCC organizers, that's plural, at avicon.org.
If you type that briefly into chat in Discord, James can
I
probably
sure
put that
will.
up, as I
I
said.
will.
It would
Okay.
be a great help. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Meal break. I do like having meals in virtual worlds. They're so darn tasty. Sorry. That shut everybody up, isn't it?
Well, remember, it all started with the pizza delivery guy, hero protagonist. But he was working for the mob.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Right, so getting on here now. Something called the Writers Panel. I'm not quite now. This is odd. I was actually going to introduce this as another layer panel, but I'm on it. But
Yes, you are the moderator and I'm the organizer for it. So
yeah,
you said, Lear, go organize the
yeah.
panel. And I said, you bet. So I
Well,
invited Nar.
I just let it be known I wasn't organising any panels or the lunchtime
That's all
panels
right.
anymore, but I was quite happy to, interview or partake. So I'm more of a partaker in this, I think, more than anything else. But yeah, I mean, we're joined by Nara, Nuke, and Doreen Brie, of course,
That's it.
and our machinima maker, Pet Love. I always get this twisted. Pet Love Pet Shop. I think Pet Shop Boys. Oh, near me. Yeah, and did you get a hold of what's his name, the Brigadoon guy, Andreon?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't. I
Ah,
didn't get an
right,
answer.
right,
So
okay. It was just a suggestion because I thought the Brigadoon thing was a perfect example of
would
storytelling.
be
Because I
wonderful.
think of this as I mean, you call it writers, so it's up to you how it goes. But I sort of thought of it as storytelling. I think what I know
Well, it is.
storytelling is
And
is
there was
my
an extra part to the name. It was virtual writers panel and virtual world building. And it's this notion that we set the scene for its story. And
yeah,
some of the authors actually are very scene oriented
yeah,
or documentary oriented or experiential, where whatever their story is about, you can actually go experience, right?
yeah,
And of course, in Nara's case, it's very emotional and evocative, right?
yeah.
And for some of the rest of us, our stories are a little different. And I'm on the panel actually as one of the writers because I've published, 3 books, 5 book chapters, and oh,
Lovely. Yeah.
60 papers. And my
It's a
faculty,
very
huh? What's that?
it's a very wide berth on this one, really. I mean, I
Yeah,
thought
it is.
I think it would be better called a storytelling panel, but
We could change
builders.
the name.
But
We're good.
This is becoming an organizers meeting.
yeah, no, well, yes, we're
Yeah.
getting a bit far on this, but no, I mean I say it's a wide berth there because you've got
Sure.
principally this is actually authors on the panel here, whereas building whole story worlds. I mean, you might not just write a story that takes place in a world, but you can, using virtuality, open sim, you can visualize the world, if you see what I mean. Before the story happens, you think of this as a land of stories, and then somebody working with you comes in and conceives the stories, but it might not, the writing can move from dialogue of the participants, the avatars or whatever, through to narratives. So there's a whole I was talking about this the other day, the way I keep going back to years ago when I was involved with comic books, where the differential between panels and things like that. But we will talk about this.
Sure.
I'm getting off track again on when we get to the real thing, actually. So yeah, let me
It'll
stop.
be fun.
This is where James is whispering, "Don't go down the rabbit hole again."
Don't make me
Long
get that
show.
wolf.
Ever ready called. They want you to replace the rabbit.
AI at MIT permeate on.
Now this
on
is important. Don't make fun of it.
Oh,
This is
I'm
this
not.
is the reason I'm now part of Evacon.
Oh,
Joyce
yeah.
invited me to join the team as a research scientist and write proposals for research grants for in response to a request from MIT. They asked nonprofits to participate and submit proposals for various kinds of software services we might need that might bridge with AI or other technologies, but that would extend Open Simulator. And so
Right.
I wrote a proposal, and another group at MIT, the AI Permeate group, picked it up. And so we've been working with them, and they're going to report on their findings and what they developed. It's exciting.
Right. Okay. So I must remember that one. Permeate on speech today. It's just an odd title. And again, it rings odd to me, but yes. I love it when this is like this. The titles she puts on her blogs, some of them are so corny and some of them are so. What's she talking about there? You know, they're all perfectly well thought out there. Right, now here's another handful. Amplifying medical laboratory science, public health, co-working, and special interests with bidirectional integration into 3D immersive virtual worlds communities within the metaverse, real to virtual and virtual to real. And isn't that fun? Thank you.
Yes.
Good.
That's Sally Cherry.
Yeah, okay. And yeah, I'm sure that'd be interesting.
Absolutely.
Can't she come up with an easier title than that? I suppose it's an academic thing there, really, isn't it?
It is.
Title,
Kind of like digital twins. It
academia.
sounds like.
They pay you by the word, okay?
I know. Now this could be an interesting one. Making classic clothing. So this doesn't include mesh, I presume, but classical
It's
clothing
Beth.
in Open Sim worlds. So best, of course, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And something a lot of I always found that a lot of people at the OSCC and actually some other events too, you sort of if you saw that in Second Life, you think, oh, there's the noobs corner, because they turn up with something basic and
but they don't have to wait for their heads to res, so there are plus sides
to it
too.
Well, yeah, but it's I had a request from the channel asking me to do it,
and they almost never turn up naked either.
Yeah, well, I was actually told to.
I'm a classic avatar, right?
Yeah. No, it's fine. Yeah, Mesh is a whole different ballgame. I got a request on the channel to do a show on Mesh avatars, and I saw it changed. They said avoid it at all costs, because half of the stuff in OpenSim could possibly be ripped from another place, or other places. In fact. No comment. Right. Play it again. Enhancing
replay Mal.
Sorry?
Mal, there's one above it. Neverworld.
Lovely.
Creations. Yes. That is by Stone Lunacy. And he's going to be sharing and demonstrating his roller coasters and other amusement creations.
Nice. I'm very familiar with them. We have been to Neverworld on many a safari.
Wonderful.
And the amusement part there is pretty much dominates, does it? If you remember that, Tosha and James, I think
yes,
the big wheels and everything. Very very sort of accurate recreation of that sort of event, which I think is probably getting a bit more out of fact. All the big wheels and all that stuff. Probably, maybe people are going to look in a virtual world in 30 years' time and say, "What on earth is that?" They'll have forgotten the real world thing. So, play it again, enhancing replay and virtual essential newborn care. That's quite. This reminds me of Second Life. So many. Of course, the problem is.
Well, this
is you have role play and then you also have education, and it's like the Roman period. The two can overlap to some extent, but
this is really important, Mal. Rachel's been doing this for many years. She's the one who had the 2 regions in OpenSim where she was studying malaria and other diseases. And she had 25 bots set up, and you would carry an object and you'd acquire a disease, and then you'd have to figure out how to cure yourself before
Ooh.
you died. And it was a very deep immersion. It was in 2015 or 2014. She did that for one university. She moved to University of Washington, and she works in pediatric care and in the education there. And what she's doing is saving newborn babies' lives by using virtual worlds and virtual reality integrations. And she'll be joined by Matthew Cook, who's one of the techs on the project, who helps with all those integrations. But it's important work. But you know why she's always near the end of Sunday is because she works in the hospital first and then gets off work and comes and joins us.
Enjoys in. Very
yes,
good.
from surgery.
Yeah, I apologize. I sort of was scanning the title there, and I didn't pick up totally on Neo fatal sort of thing. Yeah, because there are, I mean, equally important. There are sites so that basically you log in as an avatar for 9 months, and they take you through the journey of getting birth, and possibly postnatal too. But this, of course, is much more serious. It's about child mortality. So.
But I love her work, and so I'm so glad she keeps us informed. Yep. And then that last one.
This is a very American thing. Whenever I see K-12, I think of the Doctor Who robot dog. Oh, I think no, that's K9 actually. But it's took me a long while to realize K-12 is like a descriptive level thing in American education. We don't have it here. You know, we've got primary, secondary, and abandonment. Nothing in between.
What does K-12 students mean?
Kindergarten through 12th grade. So it means from 5 years old till the end of the senior year before they go to college.
Okay.
Okay.
And this is Maria Magdalena, and it will be very early in the morning for her. So she has to speak as late as possible because it'll be like 8:45 in the morning or something when she's speaking. Yes.
Was she Australia or something?
I think Malaysia, but I don't.
You know. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, brave. Yeah, the international scope of our virtual world conferences is coming into play here. Yeah.
And she was a good friend of Olive Tree's as well. Olive Tree's connected us with her last year and helped us to get her set up. And the year before, she had an expo booth. So, so we're looking forward to this session. Well, all of them, frankly.
There we are. OSCC 24 closing 1,000 copies. Well, I will be well asleep by this time, so I never actually get onto the old photos these days.
Sorry.
But, yeah, we're in Europe, so is Tosha. But we leave you to Americans to the evening.
then on Monday, I'll just skip ahead because I know you need to wrap. On Monday, we have 3 sessions after the conference. These are events.
Right, educator meetup, spotlight on Ecuador user onboarding, And
that's usually in the OSCC Expo Zone 3, where the speaker cupcakes are that you toured. And then, of course, it's Kayakers Slum City Tour with Ada.
Oh dear.
But then we have
Tosha is not going to rave about this one, are you?
But
we did some video a few weeks ago on what I thought was quite an interesting sim, but Tosha said it's so depressing because it really was a slum city, wasn't it? It was all decay and it's got its place, but
Sure. Well, then, Tosha, at 3:00, if you're still up, Kuga Rajal, who comes to the core developer meetings and has also written an extension or an update to Bullet Sim Physics, is going to do a demolition derby on his region. So we're going to go do some car crashing.
And of course, it's Arcadia Asylum, so it's probably the next.
Yeah, it's the next
on the
event.
Playa.
Mal, you need to scroll down.
It's an event at 3:00. Scroll down there.
Oh, yeah. So skate it. Right. Okay. Yeah. No, I already had done that, no?
Nope.
Yeah.
It's right there at the bottom. You just passed it. One more. Go a little bit more. A little bit more.
Oh, a little up.
There it is.
Oh, sorry, I hadn't opened that one. Right, okay.
And he has recreated elements from Burning Man. You get that feeling if you've ever been to Burning Man or any Burning Man kind of sim. He's done a lot of work there. It's amazing. But he's going to be showcasing the Demolition Derby.
Right.
Physics and dance games. Yeah.
That is a big roundup. I'm going to have to quickly finish here. Just do a couple of blog things from Thursday while James, Tosha, anybody else thinks of any other final questions. Just these two. Tuesday, Safari is not on at the moment. They'll be back on January 1st. That's easy to remember. A study in Scarlet was a piece she did today on based on Gone with the Wind, basically, and it's a build based on that. It's not a Safari location. It's it probably should be from what I can see of it there. So she's got all the pictures from it basically, and you can see it was a nice place to go to. I won't dwell on it this time. Where are we? And then final one. On Thursday, she had an article about the stars of Expiry. Now, does that sound very familiar to anybody? Well, Expiry is, of course, the sim. That's the sim where we do this show from when we're not doing it from the conference grid at the moment, or when the show's online. And of course, the Little Prince is an exhibition down on the ground floor, basically, and well, very surreal and sort of lovely stuff.
Very, very beautiful post that Thursday wrote. She always writes nice posts, but this one is just very beautiful.
Yeah, so much about the whole history and everything. And there, of course, we get our little bit, you can't see the sign there, but that's our studio in the sky. But she was, you know, she was making a point of all.
And I wasn't aware what artists were participating to do that all, and it made me.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, well, yeah, the whole airplane trip and the crash and all the other stuff. You know, the Little Prince is the story that he's most known for, but you know, she's really gone into the author and his history here. So yeah, very interesting. Well, I was about to say, James and Tosha, if you've got any other questions for Sun and Leo, and while you're doing that, so I'm going to live on screen. I'm going to actually do a search on the blog for.
Just honestly, I am so impressed by everything. I have to let it sink in and wait a while before I can come up with any kind of question. So maybe I will come back to one of you later.
Yeah, maybe have more questions after the conference.
You probably will.
That too.
Maybe we'll have a special retrospective on the week after.
At the moment, I just feel like an ant, so little, you know.
Well, when you get big events like this, it really puts in perspective.
When I get bigger and I can talk again, I will ask.
All right. What was it? We were talking about one earlier, weren't we? That wasn't Brigadoon. It was something else. That you were going to give Leah the link for. You took her email address.
Oh, if people want to send me their favorite images of sims or grids or the places they love, it doesn't. What's that? The address was osccorganizers@avicon.org for emailing them to me. Yes.
Yeah. But Tosha actually mentioned something about getting in touch with you with a link to a site, and I've gone and forgotten what it was now. It wasn't Brigadoon; it was something else to do with.
You could you type the URL? I think it was very short to the PI project thing.
It is very short.
Please.
Oh yes, it's pi.ai. I sure will. I'll put it in the chat, but it's literally pi.ai and hit enter.
AI. Okay. I can remember that. You don't have to repeat it.
Well, I'll put it in there. It's easy and cheap, you know. But yeah, pi.ai.
Yeah, there was something we were talking about, and Tosha mentioned we'd been on safari there, and she was going to try and dig up the link to send to you. And all I was thinking is, whilst I'm on Safari blog, I can probably find that particular post, but I can't remember what I'm searching for anymore. Are you equally blank?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, or actually, Tosha, maybe she remembers what I was actually planning to actually search for something here on the site.
Yes, I did. I just forgot it too, but it will be. I will remember it later, and then I'll send it to you.
Yeah, we're out of time here. I just thought one of the Safari's website up, I would.
Because it was so much information that my head is spinning. Really.
I know. That's what they say, too much information. Well, I think we've had a great show anyway. We've almost made it to 2.5 hours, which is kind of the longest show we've had for a long while. But I think it's worth it. Lots of visuals to see and the expos. Pretty good rundown of the agenda here. And of course, extra spice from Sun and the music and everything else. So, I can't think of any other questions either. It's like one of these things where you follow the rhythm of things.
I will look through the recording, and then I will remember. And I can see just now, I've been looking at the screen all the time, that not only my head is spinning, but I also lost my legs.
What?
Oh, you sunk into the couch.
You sunk. Oh, yes, you sunk into. Well, James has probably been very, very polite and filming from the waist up, So
no, never.
Oh, okay. So you noticed and didn't say anything.
That's right. I have one thing to add, Mel. One thing to add. The URL to go to the conference is conference.opensimulator.org to look at the schedule and registration information. And then the grid is on that website, but just so people know, it's at the cc.opensimulator.org:8002. And I just put those on the lower third as well.
Yeah, it's been up for most of the day at the top right on that agenda picture, but it's probably a bit too small for people to see. So, yes, do show that one off for us. Yeah. Okay, well, I'd like to thank both Lear and Sun for livening up what could have been a rather,
thank you, Mel.
It could have been a rather mundane thing, really. Just, there's a conference coming up. We're here to tell you about it. But I think all the pictures of all the expos and stuff brought a whole new dimension to it. So great. Thank you to Lear Lobo. Thank you, Lear.
Hey, thank you, Mel. It's been wonderful.
And thank you to Sun Tzu.
Thank you, Mel.
We pronounce it. Yes, thank you very much indeed. And that's about it. So I'd like to thank my right-hand man here, James Atlloud. Thanks, James.
Sure.
And the person who really keeps the conversation alive here, my co-host, Tosha Ryran. Thanks, Tosh.
Oh, well, you're very welcome. It's been a delight to listen. Mostly I did listen because I just so much information, and I'm really, really glad and thankful for it.
Yeah. The great thing about this show is if we get overloaded, we can always replay it to remind ourselves in the absence of an AI companion.
I found my legs again.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that
but
too.
I lost everything else.
Everything else, except your scarf. Your scarf helped.
Yeah.
Well, I should actually mention.
That means that I shall be going now because I don't want to be making a fool of myself. Okay? Anyways, it's late enough, and I have my brother
just a reminder.
Next door, and he's waiting for me. Okay, thank you very much.
Tosha, just a reminder, we won't be here next week. We will be at the conference.
Okay.
So we have a week off from this show until the week after.
Okay.
Hopefully back on Hypergrid. So
okay.
See you then. Okay. So that's about it. I'd like to wish everybody a very good morning, a very good evening, a very good afternoon, or indeed a good tomorrow, depending on wherever and whenever you are. And just approaching the exact 2 hour mark. No, 2.5 hours. We're out of here. Bye for now.